Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. And I'm here with my friend and colleague, the guru of finance on YouTube, Mr. Gregory Mannarino. Greg, how is it going with you?
Going well, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being out here as a voice of reason and a voice of truth. Honestly, I just can't say how much I appreciate you. Honestly.
I appreciate you a lot, Greg. I mean, and Greg, I love when you go in those little tantrums and stuff, and you're really feeling it, man. I mean, you hit home with it. But everybody, you got to subscribe to traderschoice.net. You got to subscribe. Greg gives out free information on how to invest, what to invest in. I mean, the man does such great work. So, Greg, so let's get into it. I want to ask you something. As you and I were talking before the show started, there's a saying by Gerald Salente. He says, when all else fails, they take us to war. And it looks like the system is failing, and it looks like they know that they need to expand the debt system. And you told me personally that once the system stops expanding, boom goes the dynamite. Where are we in this situation?
You're 100% right. That's exactly the way it goes here. What's going on is it's pretty much in our face here, man. So the system itself is being destabilized. And part of this is war. War is a destabilizing factor, a massive destabilizing factor. And that's part of the scheme. Nothing is an accident as to where we are going, where we're being pushed into here. And this, what we can expect, unfortunately, is more destabilization moving forward. The system that we have is being taken apart piece by piece by piece. Is going on for a very long time. A new system is coming. Central banks around the world are solidifying their power. This is how I look at it. There are central banks in every continent on this planet. That's their bases. It's a war. The real war is against us. And they are seeking control. They are seeking more power here. And their mechanism is very simple. It's just too easy to understand. A central bank has but one product: debt. The more debt they issue to the world, and their currencies are not units of wealth. These are units of debt that we don't even own. We work for the privilege to borrow these bills from whatever central bank, and then we have to pay them back plus interest that they create out of nothing. What a system. This is their worldwide system. It's rigged against us, and they are moving into a new system now. This is what they have to have here is a scapegoat. We all understand that the current situation is not sustainable from any perspective. Global debt is surging at the fastest pace we've ever seen in history, and we got the global economy contracting at its fastest pace in history. Just as an example of that, we just found out by their own numbers, hiring in the United States right here is at a historic low. You can't make this stuff up here. But and the Fed now, with their, not only did they make their announcement that they're cutting 50 basis points at the same. I've never seen this before, Rashid, in my life. I don't know if you follow the Fed like I do. I follow this. I believe that they are the crime syndicate of crime syndicates on the planet Earth. Now, why I say the Fed more specifically is because the U.S., at least for now, is still the world reserve currency. But anyway, so not only at the same time they made their case, okay, here we go, we're going to cut 50 basis points here. They released simultaneously their plan for the rest of this year and next. They're supposed to be data dependent, right? Well, that just got thrown out the window. If they're telling us already what they have planned, and what did this do? Well, what happened the day after the Fed announcement was the stock market just shot up across the board. We're hitting record highs for the Dow, record highs for the S&P. This is an illusion. You have to understand how they play this here. The illusion of the markets is a super powerful thing. People look at their investment plans, their 401ks, they think they're rich. They're rich on paper. It's not real. These are digits on a screen. It's just an illusion to distract people from what's really going on here with regard to the economy. We have not had a single piece of good economic news in the United States since Obama took office. It's been in a downward spiral. The economy is being destroyed. Central banks aligning themselves with each other more so than ever to bring about our demise. It's an extinction level event, brother. An extinction level event. across the world, a wipe out of the middle class, and this mechanism of destabilizing the world economy via war, via central banks, inflating or causing the currency to lose its purchasing power, the promises of lower rates by both presidential selectees here, this plays right into the Fed's plan here, and we are being destroyed.
I remember you were telling me when you and I talked last about how your goal is to make all of us serfs and have the system to be a feudal system where the haves have everything and the have-nots have nothing. And do you see their plan gaining traction with what we're looking at, like in real time?
Oh, absolutely. Look at what they're doing here. And this is, I've been seeing this for a very long time. Actually said this would happen about 10 years ago, this neo-feudal system here. What they're doing is by making people struggle right now, and people don't understand what's going on. Let me put a perspective on this for people. There's all this blame going around about inflation here. Okay, inflation is a product of monetary policy. It's not the product. It's not this president's fault. It's not that person. A lot of people are blaming Trump because Trump outspent Obama and Biden combined. It's not Trump's fault. Trump doesn't have a printing press. Trump doesn't have the ability to devalue the currency. A lot of people are blaming Biden because it just happens to be kicking up right now, which is a phenomenon I said would happen eventually as cash made its through the economy, which has been dead. It's the central banks. The central banks are the ones who make monetary policy. This is deliberate, what we're seeing here. The fact that we're seeing inflation right now is just, it's economics 101, really is, and people just don't understand this. How it works is just too simple. All this creation of cash out of thin air under the last three presidents here, none more so. The last three presidents have empowered the Federal Reserve, or helped the Fed, because they don't have a printing press, helped the Fed inflate, which is their goal, more than any other. You go back from Obama to George Washington, and you see that the last three presidents have more than doubled the debt here. So that's how extreme this has gotten. Again, presidents have no power, but they can align themselves with the Fed. They can help the Fed. Kamala and Trump right now, what are they doing? They're promising us lower rates. How does that help us? It doesn't help us here. Lower rates means weaker currency. How does that help us? It doesn't help us. All this does is fulfill the corporate agenda here, make sure the middle class is being systematically eradicated, creating dependency on the system. And that's really what I was leading to here. They must create dependency on the system. So people, again, when they issue in their new one, first of all, it's always the same. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem is the system is coming apart. They need a scapegoat. Whether this is going to be war, expanding war, another scamdemic, whatever it might be, that's what they're going to do. Because again, you have to understand, central banks must remain blameless. Nobody is pointing their finger at the Federal Reserve, who's actually responsible for inflation. Again, inflation is a byproduct of mismanaged, or in this case, deliberate mismanagement of monetary policy. No one can point their finger at the Fed. No one's going to point their finger at the Fed, unfortunately. But the system is being, again, this whole thing is being orchestrated to allow central banks to basically take over here. And there are a lot of people that are benefiting from this, obviously, and it's a shame. But people are being kept in the dark, as you well know. But there's actions that we can take, at least, to stay on the right side of this. What did we just find out? In fact, I just covered it this morning. I don't have it here anymore. But Forbes did an article how, and I did not know this. Maybe you did. Maybe the people that follow your work know this. But since 2022, central banks have increased their gold purchases threefold. Threefold. I was not aware of that. I knew they were increasing their allocation to gold, central banks, and not just central banks, hedge funds, the richest people on this planet. They're all hoarding gold. Gold has been outperforming the stock market, which is on a tear. We just yesterday hit a new record for the Dow, a new record for the S&P 500. The Nasdaq has been the laggard here, but that's going to change as rates become more suppressed here, as the Fed has made their plan throughout next year. I believe, again, understanding the dynamics here, that tech benefits from a lower rate environment. I think Nasdaq or tech stocks are going to outperform. But the bottom line is we got gold outperforming the stock market in 2024. It's not getting too much attention, but what's even getting less attention than that is silver is outperforming gold. So you got gold outperforming the market, the stock market, and you got silver outperforming gold. I mean, what does this tell us? That you, me, people that are following our work, we're obviously on the right pathway here. They're doing the right thing.
So, what do you say about people who think it's hopeless, and they can't secure any wealth, if not wealth, just to maintain themselves? Would you recommend them buying those tangible assets like gold and silver? And what about Bitcoin and stuff like that?
Oh, look, the system, it's too easy right now. Look, we must take action. We can't sit back in some corner and suck our thumbs and stay in the dollar or any central bank issued note. They're in a race to the bottom here, bro. You know this. They've been destroying the purchasing power of their currency since literally time immemorial. It's not going to stop. This is part of the deconstruction of the system, which has been going on for quite a long time. The dollar has now lost 98% of its purchasing power since the Fed took over the system. There's only 2% left or less than that, and they're going to take it. They're going to get it. So what do we do? If we realize that, first of all, you have to understand, and I think people get it for the most part, when you have this mechanism of artificially suppressed rates, meaning the Fed has to get into the debt market, the Fed is not magical. The Fed just can't say, hey, everyone, we're going to keep rates low. They have to get into the market and make it happen. How do they do that? They have to create cash out of nothing. They have to get into the market and buy the debt that artificially suppresses rates. That mechanism is massively currency purchasing power negative. Now, what that does here, and the effect is to open up a doorway for cash to make its way into risk assets. In other words, inflate a larger stock market bubble than we have already. The stock market in aggregate is nothing but a derivative these days as to what's happening in the debt market. In other words, the stock market is deriving value from what is happening in the debt market. And this mechanism has not only distorted the price of the stock market beyond your wildest dreams, it's also causing distortions across the spectrum of asset classes. So look, this is how we beat the system. It's too simple. We get out of the dollar in this case, or any central bank issued note. We look for opportunities to realize we're eventually going. The debt market is a time bomb. It's going to go off at one point. There's no doubt about it. What that means is, again, bursting of the debt market hyper bubble, and that's an understatement. It will put pressure on stock markets around the world. Cash is just going to seek places to go. It's going to, in my opinion, and it's just a no-brainer, we're going to see risk on, meaning cash make its way into the stock market, turn to risk off, going into commodities. We're going to see a commodity super cycle on a scale that people aren't going to believe. We're going to see oceans of cash make their way into commodities, more specifically, massively suppressed ones here on, I think, gold, silver more specifically, platinum, palladium, crude oil, commodities across the board. It also means for now, we buy the market. I've been buying every dip in this market for many, many years. And we're going to continue to do that. And it's not real. I understand that. And the market's in a hyper bubble. I understand that. But we have a tool, the MMRI, the Mannarino Market Risk Indicator. It's free to everybody. It's right on my website, traderschoice.net, top of the second page. People can really see what's happening. Those aren't just squiggly lines. We're seeing in real time what the Fed's doing, devaluing the dollar. We're watching the asset purchases with regard to the 10-year yield here. And that just opens up that doorway to push stocks higher. We're going to see record high, all the way until the presidential selection. After that, all bets are off. We're going to have to reevaluate what we need to do at that point, even though the Fed has laid out their case saying they're going to cut this year, they're going to cut all next year. You know, we really got to stay on top of this, raise our awareness, look for where cash is moving through. What I do is very simple, believe it or not. I just look at where cash is moving through the market and where it's most likely to go based upon what's happening. It breaks this entire thing down and makes it too easy. I've been telling people on my blog, it's too easy to understand what we need to do to stay ahead of this. And, you know, it's just a mechanism here designed to destroy us, but we can flip those tables, bro. We can flip them, and that's what we're doing.
You said selection. Could you elaborate? You and I know, but could you elaborate on the selection of the president?
Sure. I personally do not believe that our votes count. I think if our votes counted, we wouldn't be allowed to vote. I think they select a particular individual to sit behind the Resolute desk, one that will help empower them, because that's their goal. They're the government. The Federal Reserve in this case, or central banks, are the government of the world. I've been telling people for years and years, it's not presidents, kings, queens, dictators, or monarchs that run the world. It's run by central banks collectively. They control the cash. Therefore, they control the world. They even control the flow of information. If you notice, and I notice, I flip through CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox. I want to hear what's going on here, what they're doing. They float out this creature and that creature. It's interesting what they do. When one of these, I call them propaganda ministries, when they start talking about a particular topic, and if it's something that's gripping, all of a sudden I start flipping around. They all say the same thing, word for word. They're all reading the script. So you and me, we're out here and we're just talking. There's no script for you and me, but they're reading it. They're told what to say, how to say it, and the words don't change. So what does that tell me? They're getting their information from a central source. To me, it's the Federal Reserve. They're telling them what to say and when to say it. Push the same message. Push the same narrative. It's working because people who are following the propaganda ministry, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea why things are the way they are or what's happening to them. Like, thank God the Father of all creation here, that there are shows like yours and shows like mine, bro, because we are making a positive difference. I don't give a darn. I was gonna say damn about anything, bro. All I know is this: if you do good, good will come back to you. If you do bad, spread hate, lies, you're done. Okay, that's just the nature of the universe, man. It's just baked into the creation, how God created this entire thing. You understand? I think you get it. So that's why we are on the side of truth, you and me. Truth, love, peace, happiness, unity, togetherness. I mean, come on. Does this sound new to anyone? No, we've only been told this for thousands of years. Why? Because it is the truth, man. It's too easy.
That's it. Greg, you said that if anyone wants to know what's going on, follow the debt market. What is happening in the debt market that shows us that the things are unraveling at breakneck speed?
That's a great question. If we look at what central banks are doing right now, again, they're think about the paradox of what I'm about to say. We know, and this is a fact, that the economy here in the United States and around the world is contracting, not just contracting at its fastest pace ever. At the same time, we got central banks simultaneously inflating the global money supply. Does that make sense? It should from one standpoint, okay? If we realize that as a central bank, any central bank is devaluing their currency, and they're all doing the same thing at the same time, it takes more of these devalued dollars now to buy anything. So the mechanism is self-feeding. Central banks have created this system that will only benefit them. And the more currency they issue, the more debt they can buy with currency they create at nothing, the stronger they become. So when you hear a presidential puppet saying, we promise you lower rates, which is both what Trump is saying and Kamala, what are they actually saying? They're saying we are promising to make the Fed stronger. And that's the real government here. So the mechanism here is very, very simple. And we need to do something. We can't just sit here and listen to the politics. Okay, these are games that they're playing with us. They got the brainwashed masses here believing in something that's never going to happen. We heard the same thing during the last time. It's not going to change. The mechanism here of artificially suppressed rates, currency devaluation is going to bleed off into everything. It's only going to make the system exponentially worse moving forward. It's a deconstruction. It's a destabilization. People are being made to deliberately suffer so they become slaves to the system, more dependent on it. Because again, this system is coming down. They know it's coming down, and we're getting a new one. It's going to be easier for them to institute the new system when then they need their scapegoat, whether it's going to be war, expanding war, another scamdemic, a combination of those, or something completely different. I don't know, aliens, whatever they're going to throw at us. I mean, the bottom line is we need to have the high ground. And I tell people, expect anything. Just They're not done deceiving us. We know that. Okay, they're going to continue to lie. They're going to continue to distract us. Look here. Don't look over there. This is what they always do. And people, unfortunately, not you, not me, not the people that follow our work, we're able to see through it, just cleanly through it all, and say, okay, this is what's happening. More importantly, this is what we need to do to take action against it. I always tell people, and I'm telling everyone here that's listening to this right now, you and me, we're people of action. We're trying to make a difference here, and I want people to do the same. Don't just sit back and listen to what we're discussing here and don't do anything about it. These are not shows for entertainment, all right? These are shows for people that understand what's going on and realize they must do something about it because the system is designed to destroy them. I mean, look around us, man. This isn't just a phenomenon here in the United States. This is a global thing. It's too obvious that people need to do something. The real thing is, man, look, we could take down the entire system, but people don't understand that. What's the Achilles heel of every single central bank? It's the same thing. Their ability to issue debt. If we could stop them, let's just stick to the Fed. I've been telling people this for 10 years. If we could prevent the Federal Reserve from issuing one single dollar, just one, more debt into the system, the Federal Reserve would collapse. This system is debt-based, meaning it can only function by exponential debt expansion. If we take that away, the central bank collapses. We can kill the entire central banking system. There's no one here to help us. We can do it ourselves. But there's not enough people that want to do anything about it here, unfortunately, right now. There's going to be something. I've already discussed multiple things that we can actually do. I don't just talk about what's happening. I talk about solutions, and that's what we're talking about here too. Solutions to fix the system, to take it back from the central banks of the world, who are the enemy of humanity. No guy on this earth, maybe it's you, I don't know, maybe we're equal, hate this institution more so. Yes, I said the word hate. This institution is a crime syndicate. They are angled against us. And not only do they want to destroy us, they want us dead, bro, in the literal sense. When this thing comes down, when we have a bursting of the debt hyperbubble, we're going to end up with a resource problem on a biblical scale. Okay. People are going to be at each other's throats. There's going to be pandemonium in the streets. The entire system is going to lock up. They want us dead. And I think we're allowed to seriously dislike, or even possibly hate those that want us dead. It's about control. It's easier to control fewer people than it is to control the masses here, and that's what they're doing. And again, war is not only destabilizing, but it also obviously has a cost in human life. And I don't think we've seen anything yet with regard to that, and with regard to what they can pull off with another warp speed bioweapon. I mean, whatever they're going to do. Whatever it is they have to do, and they will do to destroy us, they're going to try. But we're too smart for that. We have the high ground where we are aware of what's going on. We know what they're trying to do. That gives us power. That gives us huge power.
Two more questions. Greg, what do you say to the people that believe in this choice in Kamala and Trump? Because you have these people that are pumping Kamala. You have these people that are pro-Trump. They think Trump will save the entire system, just like the people think that Kamala will change the system. What do you have to say about that?
Look, man, they've drank too much of the damn Kool-Aid. I don't know another way to put it. They're not looking out for themselves. What the problem is with people, this has become a hand-me culture. In other words, give me, this person's going to help me and save me. We got to save ourselves, man. You putting your faith in, what I'll say is this: people throughout history who have put their faith in the wrong place, in this case, two individuals who are clearly aligned with the Federal Reserve, they're going to end up not just disappointed, but destroyed. God has said he's a jealous God, and he will take revenge against you. So I think people need to start waking up to the fact that God means what he says. I believe that. Anyway, that would be, I think, my take on this.
Now, the last question, the debt market. Where do we stand? I know you were telling me a while ago that we were in the quadrillions of dollars, and it blew my mind that you were saying this is not billions or hundreds of billions of dollars. This is in the quadrillions. Where do we stand at that? And when this thing blows, I know that you often say it'll be biblical, but could you elaborate a little bit on? Because you told me, you said it will be like a nuclear exchange, the loss of life. Could you elaborate on the size of the derivative market and what is going to happen when it bursts?
Well, here's the issue with the derivative market. It cannot be quantified. We don't know how big it actually is. We do know it's in the quadrillions. You have to understand how this works. When you're looking at something at face value, let's say the U.S. debt at face value is whatever it might be. You have to understand there are also derivatives associated with that. In other words, a derivative is nothing but a side bet on against an underlying asset. Now, the problem with the derivative markets is there's layers on both sides of it. And there's side bets on 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 either side. If there's something bigger than a quadrillion, we're probably there now. It can't be measured. And that's the issue here. The system, you have to understand, the system is insolvent. The system operates in a perpetual vacuum that can never be filled. In fact, again, going back to killing a central bank, preventing them from issuing a single dollar of debt, we can't do that. The debt cannot be paid back. It's not meant to be paid back. It can only be expanded on. And that's the nature of the debt-based system that we have. Henceforth, why the debt market must balloon and balloon and balloon and balloon. Why we got puppets, Kamala puppet and Trump puppet saying, we promise you lower rates, which means a weaker currency, which means more debt. I mean, come on, it's too easy, bro. But again, man, like I said, I think the people that follow our work get it, and they're taking action. They will look. This can't be stopped. These wheels have been put in motion from over a century ago, and every single thing that we're seeing, this is no accident. This is no comedy of errors. No mistake got us here. Everything is deliberate, and unfortunately, it's going to get much worse faster moving forward. So what do? We know what to do. First of all, we got to come together. We got to unite. We got to, again, what do I leave everybody? In fact, I hope you start doing this too. Every Friday, I leave people off with love each other, care about each other, and be charitable. Because the bottom line is we're going to need each other at the end. We're going to need to rely on each other. Make friends with people in your neighborhood, like-minded people here. The ones that are too brainwashed this way or the other, they're done. Don't waste your time with these kinds of people here. If they don't want to see things in their true light, or they want to put their faith in the wrong person in the wrong place, they're just done. Okay, you got to move forward. Find someone else that understands what's going on here and is taking action. That's really what it's all about for me. And again, look, every revolution or every solution starts out real small. You and me, we're part of something that's much bigger than I think we even know. I'll be honest with you. And I think every day this becomes more apparent to me as I hear from more and more people that we are getting a word out there. People understand what's happening. At least some people do. Some never will. But we are starting something. We've started a movement, and it's getting bigger every day, bro. Every day that we're out here, every day that we're putting out information like this, we're gaining people, we're waking people up. We're snapping them out of their slumber that they've been deliberately induced into. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Hey, man, thank you, Greg. This is my guy here. He came through for me once again. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. And thank you, too. And I apologize for missing yesterday, man. I just wrote down the wrong day.
It's all good. I'll send you the link in a few minutes.
Please do that. Thank you.
All right, man. Be blessed.
You too.
Everybody, once again, we have a tremendous guest on our show. And like I always say, remember, before we go off there, remember this: to do good by others, not because other people are watching, but because it's the right thing to do. And even when no one else is watching, remember that God is watching. On that note, I go out the way that I always come in, with love in my heart for each and every one of you who loves truth, but know that the true and living God will always love you better. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. We're out of here.